You've felt it. That moment when you look around and realize it's just you. No girlfriend, no situationship, no constant stream of notifications. Just silence. Your own breath, your own thoughts. Most men panic there. They run back to the apps, back to the girl who disrespected them, back to the comfort of half love and almost respect. Because being alone feels like failure. Society tells you if you're single, something is wrong with you. You're behind. You're undesirable. But here's the truth nobody told you. A man who stays single long enough, on purpose, becomes dangerous. Not dangerous in the childish, chaotic way. Dangerous in the quiet, controlled, stoic way. Because when you stop chasing attention, all that energy has to go somewhere. It goes into the gym, into your money, into your mission, into your mind. You stop waking up wondering, did she text back? You start waking up asking, how do I become sharper today? Right now, you might be that man on the edge, tired of being disrespected, tired of over-explaining yourself, tired of being the emotional punching bag. You've been ghosted, breadcrumbed, used as a backup plan. And part of you still wants to run back just so you're not alone tonight. That's the hidden trap. Most men are terrified of their own company. They distract themselves with hookups, endless talking stages, porn, scrolling, anything, just to avoid facing the real enemy, their own undisciplined mind. Stoicism cuts through that illusion. It tells you, your value isn't in who validates you, it's in what you can control. Your focus, your discipline, your standards, your reactions. When a man embraces singleness as a training ground instead of a punishment, he transforms. He becomes harder to manipulate because he no longer needs anyone's approval. He becomes calmer under pressure because drama isn't his oxygen anymore. He becomes more respected because he's willing to walk away from anything that disrespects him. In this video, you're about to learn 5 brutal Stoic truths about why the longer a man is single, the more dangerous he becomes. Not needy dangerous, not unstable dangerous, grounded, focused, untouchable. By the end, you'll see singleness differently, not as a waiting room before real life begins, but as the forge where you build the man nobody plays with. If you're already feeling that shift, take a second and subscribe, like this video, and share it with a man who needs to hear this. You're not just consuming content, you're stepping into a different identity. Drop this in the comments to lock it in. I choose power over approval. Because the first brutal truth is this: when you're single, there's nowhere to hide from yourself. And the man who stops hiding is the man everyone else has to respect. When you're single and you stop running from yourself, something uncomfortable happens first. You start to see the raw, unfiltered truth. No distractions, no drama, no one else to blame. Just you and the life you've actually built. This is where the first brutal truth hits. The first truth, the mirror of singleness. When you're alone, every gap in your discipline, every lie you've been telling yourself, every weakness you've been hiding behind, "I'm just busy," gets exposed. You notice you scroll more than you read. You notice you talk about your goals more than you move toward them. You notice you had standards for women you never even applied to yourself. It stings, but that sting is where a dangerous man is born. Most men run from that mirror. They jump from girl to girl, situationship to situationship, because as long as someone is giving them crumbs of affection, they don't have to face who they really are. A Stoic man does the opposite. He looks straight into that mirror and says, "Good, now I know what to fix." Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." In modern terms, if you don't know who you are and where you're going, no relationship, no compliment, no body count will ever feel like enough. So you use singleness as a diagnostic. You track your habits. You cut the pointless nights out that leave you empty. You admit, honestly, "I'm not as focused as I pretend to be. I'm not as disciplined as I look on Instagram." And then you create a new standard. Training is non-negotiable. Sleep is non-negotiable. Getting your money right is non-negotiable. Letting disrespect slide? No longer an option. You stop chasing a partner to feel complete, and you start becoming a man who's actually worth joining. Lock this in. I don't hide from the mirror. I build from it. The second truth, detachment makes you unmanipulable. When a man is terrified of being alone, anyone can control him. One threat of leaving, one silent treatment, one "you'll never find better than me," and he folds. He tolerates disrespect because deep down, he believes being disrespected is better than being single. But the longer you stay single by choice, the more your nervous system adapts to solitude. The anxiety fades. The urge to chase fades. You realize, I didn't die, I actually got stronger. Now imagine you walk into a dating situation from that place. You're not desperate. You're not auditioning for her approval. You're evaluating. You're calm when she tests your boundaries. You're steady when she pulls back. You're willing to let her walk rather than betray yourself. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." Brave enough to be alone, free from being emotionally blackmailed. Practically, this looks like not double texting out of panic, not explaining yourself 17 times to someone who enjoys misunderstanding you, not chasing after someone who clearly doesn't choose you. Instead, you state your standard once. You enforce your boundary once. If it's not respected, you walk, not to manipulate, not as a game, but because your peace isn't for sale. This is why a man who's been single and used that time well is dangerous. He's not afraid to lose anyone, because he already proved to himself he can stand alone. Your new identity statement: I'm willing to be alone rather than be disrespected. As you internalize these first two truths, something powerful starts to shift. You're seeing yourself clearly, and you're less controlled by anyone else. In the next part, you'll discover what happens when that clarity and detachment get weaponized into pure focus on your body, your money, your mission. That's when a single man stops being just okay and starts becoming truly untouchable. You've faced the mirror. You've started to detach. Now something else starts to rise inside you. Energy, aggression, drive. The same energy you used to waste trying to get a text back is now fuel. This is where a single man becomes truly dangerous. The third truth: single focus, weaponized life. When you're not locking in on one woman, one situationship, one constant emotional roller coaster, your mind has bandwidth again. At first, that extra space feels strange. You'll be tempted to fill it with more scrolling, more games, more numbing. But if you choose differently, that extra space becomes a weapon. You start hitting the gym not to impress someone, but to conquer yourself. You're no longer skipping workouts because she wants to hang out. You're not staying up arguing until 2 a.m., then wondering why you're exhausted at work the next day. Your body starts changing. Your posture straightens. You look in the mirror and see a man who's harder to break, physically and mentally. At work, you're not distracted by drama. No checking your phone every 5 minutes. No obsession over her stories. You're locked in. You think longer term. You take better risks. You execute. This is where most men never arrive, because they're scared to go through that boring season of consistent work while single. But the man who does? He surfaces one day with a sharper body, stronger finances, and a calmer mind. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly. That new, dangerous version of you is not built in a weekend. It's built in the quiet, uneventful weeks where you chose training over chasing, purpose over pleasure, progress over validation. Your identity now. I use my singleness to sharpen my edge." Then comes the fourth truth: emotional control over emotional chaos. When you've spent time single, really single, you start to see how emotionally chaotic most people live. Arguments over nothing, silent treatments as weapons, games, tests, manipulations, unspoken expectations. When you're needy, you get dragged right into that storm. You raise your voice, you send novels of emotional texts. You keep explaining yourself to someone who doesn't care to understand. But a man who has built his life in solitude is used to dealing with his emotions directly. He's sat with his anger in an empty room. He's faced his loneliness without running back to someone toxic. He survived nights where no one checked on him, and he still got up and handled his responsibilities the next day. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's not a nice quote. That's a combat rule. When you carry that into dating, into business, into life, everything changes. She raises her voice, you don't match it, you measure it. Someone disrespects you, you respond once, clearly, or you remove yourself. You don't beg for their respect. A deal falls through. A plan fails, you adjust. You don't collapse. Ignoring this truth keeps you as a boy in a man's body, tossed around by every emotional wave. Living it turns you into that quiet, grounded presence people trust, and fear disappointing. Lock this in. I command my emotions. They don't command me. Now you can feel it. You're not just a guy who happens to be single. You're developing into a man who is clear, detached, and dangerous in all the right ways. In the next part, we're going to pull these truths together and push them into your core identity, shifting you from the man who was ignored and disrespected to the stoic warrior others think twice about ever playing with. By now, you're starting to realize something heavy. You're not the same man who clicked on this video. Back then, you might have still been defining yourself by who didn't choose you, by the girl who left, by the ones who ghosted, by the people who underestimated you. Now, after facing the mirror, detaching and weaponizing your focus, you're beginning to see it. Being single wasn't a punishment. It was a summons. You weren't abandoned. You were drafted onto a different battlefield. Picture this clearly. Most men are running around the dating battlefield with no armor, no training, and no mission. They're begging for attention, chasing validation, and calling that love. You've stepped off that chaotic field. You're in the forge now. Weights, work, silence, standards. Your body is the armor, your mind is the shield, your discipline is the sword. And slowly, the label changes. You're no longer the guy who's still single. You're the man who's too focused to be easily claimed. This is the Stoic shift. You stop seeing relationships, women, attention as oxygen. They become optional, add-ons, bonuses. Your life, with or without anyone, is already full. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." He wasn't saying you should be isolated forever. He was reminding you, if you don't find stability inside yourself, you'll be unstable everywhere else. That's what you're building now. Internal stability, calm in the storm, dangerous composure. On the outside, nothing dramatic has to happen. You still go to work, you still see friends, you still live your life. But your operating system is different. You're no longer the man who answers every late night, "You up?" You're no longer the man who drops his plans the moment she calls. You're no longer the man who tolerates disrespect just to avoid being alone. You've become the gatekeeper of your own life. Not everyone gets in. Not everyone gets access to your time, your body, your energy, your peace. Seneca said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." Apply that ruthlessly, romantically, socially, professionally. If someone brings chaos, confusion, or constant disrespect, they don't get a front row seat anymore. You can wish them well. From distance. This is where the dangerous part truly settles in. Not that you're cruel, not that you're cold, but you're willing to walk away from anything that pulls you away from your mission. Your presence changes. You speak less, but when you speak, your words carry weight. You smile, but it's not a nervous smile begging to be liked. It's a grounded calm that says, "I know who I am, with or without you." Your singleness has turned from a scar into a standard. You're not hiding your past, you're using it as proof. Proof that you can rebuild. Proof that you can stand on your own feet. Your new identity isn't heartbroken guy trying to heal. It's Stoic warrior in training. Your solitude is your camp. Your routines are your drills. Your choices are your code. And here's the most important shift. You no longer fear that no one will choose you. You're more concerned with whether you will choose them. Do they align with your discipline? Do they respect your standards? Do they bring peace instead of drama, inspiration instead of distraction? If the answer is no, you walk, not with anger, with certainty. You're starting to live a life where love, if it comes, is a compliment, not a crutch. In the final part, we're going to turn all of this into clear marching orders, daily actions, mental rules, a code you can follow from today forward, so that your singleness, however long it lasts, continues to make you sharper, stronger, and more dangerous in all the right ways. You've walked through the fire. You've stared into the mirror. You've felt the sting of being alone and the power of surviving it. Now it's time to lock this in. No more just understanding these truths. You're going to live them. Let's be clear, this isn't about worshiping singleness or hating relationships. It's about becoming the kind of man who is never owned by his fear of being alone. That's what makes you dangerous. You've learned the mirror of singleness, facing your flaws without flinching. You've learned detachment, refusing to be emotionally blackmailed. You've learned single focus, turning your energy into muscle, money, and mission. You've learned emotional control, staying calm while everyone else drowns in drama. You've learned the identity shift from rejected to Stoic warrior in training. Now, we turn that into a daily code. Your mornings are no longer random. You wake up and ask, what would a disciplined, dangerous man do first? He doesn't roll over and scroll. He gets up. He moves his body. He sets his mind. Your days are assigned to something that matters. Learning a skill, building your income, pushing your body, cleaning up your environment, cutting the dead weight from your habits. Your nights are no longer about escaping reality. They're about reviewing it. You look back and ask, did I move like the man I'm becoming, or the man I used to be? No shame, just truth. Then adjustment. When loneliness hits, and it will, you don't run to whoever is conveniently available. You sit with it, you journal, you train, you build. You remind yourself, this feeling is not a command, it's a test. Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. You've said what you would be, a calm, disciplined, unshakable man. Now your job is simple. Do what that man would do, even when you don't feel like him yet. That means you don't chase people who confuse you. You don't beg for closure from those who already closed the door. You don't tolerate repeated disrespect just because you're talking to someone. Instead, you invest in the only relationship that dictates every other one, the one you have with yourself. From that place, if a woman enters your life, she meets a man with standards, not a boy begging to be saved from his own loneliness. She meets a man who can love deeply, but doesn't crumble if she leaves. She meets a man who chooses her, but never abandons himself. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. You don't need to debate this in the comments. You don't need to convince anyone that you've changed. You just live it, quietly, consistently, relentlessly. If this resonated with you, join this brotherhood properly. Like the video, subscribe, share it with a man who keeps crawling back to disrespect because he's afraid of being alone. And drop this in the comments to commit to your new code. I'm single, focused, and becoming dangerously disciplined. Remember this as you close this video. The world is full of men terrified of their own solitude. You are not going to be one of them. You are the man who used loneliness as a forge. You are the man who turned rejection into fuel. You are the man who can stand alone. And because of that, no one can ever stand over you. Now get up, step into your life, and move like the dangerous, stoic man you're becoming.